What is up? What's going on, everybody? Let me pull up the chat. There we go. I see people in here. Victor, Brian, Freyon Leon, Jason, of course, Froggy. Man, tell us more about that in a bit when we have our guest on. Shitty day, struggled with some easy stuff. It happens to the best of us. Welcome to the Reliable Trades Podcast. Obviously, we're doing a live show tonight. I got a great guest, and we're going to get into some cool, interesting topics, kind of catch up. What is up, Kitchen Cowboy? Catch up with the doctor. Before that, I need to roll this clip really quick. I also want to thank our new sponsors, CallRail. So I've been more into marketing and just online presence with our business. Even though we only do commercial, word of mouth is really good for any business. But once you get to a place where you want to be, a big name online or just anywhere, be recognizable, like I said, online presence, have a nice website, be able to be searchable in Google and all these different search engines, and just have a big presence. You need to know where to spend your money, and all I'm going to say is that CallRail can help you track that if that's something that you're interested in. CallRail can tell you, hey, these are not working so much. These are working really good. Stop spending your money here. Put more money and effort into this, and just be smarter about what you spend. So make sure you go by callrail.com. They do have a no risk free trial, and you can check it out for yourself. And when you're doing your day-to-day work, you got to make bids, you got to do those quotes. I think one of the things that we have to deal with now is finding and pricing out parts. And that's why I wanted to tell you guys about We Supply Trades. They are a family-owned online distributor with over 90 years of experience in HVAC, hydronics, and the plumbing world. And if you need parts quickly, they have a massive inventory, which I've been told they've been adding to weekly. You can order by 3:30 p.m. Eastern and get it shipped same day. They have their pro membership, which is not only free, but you also get the benefit of better pricing, free shipping over $99, free returns, and for my listeners, you get a bonus of 15% off your first order with code RELIABLE15. And if you're looking for a supplier who truly understands your world, please go check out WeSupplyTrades.com. I'll leave my exclusive link down in the description, and these guys just get it. Local HQ is a marketing that is geared towards the trades, proven strategies that get your business more leads. They can help you rank higher on Google and all that you would need. So reach out to them at localhq.com/reliable and mention me or the Reliable Trades podcast and get 2 months of SEO for free. And now the bills are paid. We also love our sponsors, DIVERSITECH, for all your HVAC and parts needs, VETO Pro Pack, the best tool bags ever, and Jobber. Would not be able to run my business without a CRM like that. On today's episode, we have the one and only Matt Waxer, also known as the HVAC doctor. What is up, man?
How's it going, Adrian? Good to be back chatting with you again, my brother.
I appreciate you for taking the time. I mean, it's been a while. We can catch up a little bit, but how have you been? How's work been? How's everything?
Crazy hectic. As we were just
Yeah.
previously chatting about before going live here, life has a way of just dropping everything on your plate all at once. And, work is right now in the middle of a busy season for us. A lot of what we do around this time of the year revolves around doing equipment startup on schools that are replacing older air handling units, rooftop equipment, and installing newer AON equipment on their facilities, or brand new schools that are doing the same. And the way school, at least up here in Canada, works for elementary school. Hey, Brian, how's it going, brother? Is the students are off from July and August. So today was
Mm-hmm.
actually the first day back to school for students. And you think with the 2 months that the students and the teachers aren't in the school, that you immediately start putting a push and rush on all
I,
the
I was gonna
planned
say, did you
construction and
guys
renovation.
get all that done beforehand or no?
No, no. The way that the school construction season goes is everything tries to get crammed into the last 2 weeks, really last week of August, and then it spills over into September and trickles into October. So it's super rush season right now. Everybody wants all their equipment started up yesterday.
Yep.
However, we only have a select number of technicians on our team, and there's only so many things that we can do within a day. So just tackling it one thing at a time, while still trying to get home and spend time with the family, keep up the social
Yep.
media posts and content, and all that other good stuff that all too well that you're
Well,
doing as well, my friend.
well, I was gonna say. I mean, I've seen you grow. We can talk a little bit about social media and kind of the stuff that we're both doing in a bit, but like, and also on the school note, like, I feel the same. I feel like all this should be taken care of when the kids are not there, when the kids are, and the teachers are gone for summer break, all that. They're still doing construction right in front of my son's elementary, and it's just wreaking havoc on everything. Water lines are bursting, power goes out, internet goes out because they're drilling holes and they're building houses. They're making bigger streets now. That's all cool, but this is my son's like last year in elementary there, so I'm like, I don't think we're gonna see the end of it. It's probably still gonna be under construction by the time he graduates. So it's just a little annoying at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only annoying for yourself, but I'm sure also very annoying for your son and for his overall, you know, experience within the school itself and trying to actually learn under those conditions.
Yeah, it's because like I had mentioned that they have like an after school program, and I was like, oh, maybe I should put him in. They keep canceling it just because everything's under construction right now. So I was like, oh, it's not even worth it. But um, yeah, it's just, it's that time of year. Everybody's back to school. Everything's hectic. Like you said, everybody wants everything yesterday. If you're working on it, it's taking too long. You hear all the complaints right now, and I'm sure you're going through it. I also, want to harp on the family thing because I try to take the time as busy as we get, because you're busy, we're all busy. I still try to get out to go pick him up and have that little time with him because he does go live with his mom, and that's my time with him. I get him on the weekends and here and there, but you know, family is super important, and that's kind of something I want to get into at some point on the podcast. And I mean, you've gone through some stuff as well, and like you said, you're trying to get home at the end of
Definitely.
the
Yep.
trying to get home at the end of the day just to make the most of it.
Yeah, whether it's home at the end of the day or even in the morning. There's always that pull from work to try to get you out the door. And as technicians, our natural tendency and inclination is, I've got to get to work and start
Work,
fixing
yeah,
stuff. And if you take a second and just pause and realize that, hey, work can wait. Uh, Family first. One of the things that one of my mentors, that is now a coworker of mine, always instilled and taught, and still does to our other coworkers, is, family first. Whenever they call in and say, hey, I'm going to be running late. Something came up. I got to drop my kid off at school. A bus didn't show up or something like that. He's always the first to say, don't worry about it. The work will always be here. Go take care of family first, and then get into work when you can. It's something that's very hard to instill in the
hmm
mindset that we have of, we need to get to work and, get things going on that front.
and
It's a
that's what
very conscious effort that I have to take to do that as well.
I mean, that's the way it should be because and that I think that's every blue collar worker. Like you're thinking work, work, work. Obviously, you got to make a good living to provide for your family, right? You want them comfortable, you want them fed and have everything that they want. And I remember my dad, my dad was an electrician, then he got into food service, and he had some other blue collar jobs, before that. This man worked overnight, worked long hours, was tired. I need to get him on this show at some point, and I will. I'm just trying to figure out when, and because there's this injury that he had, and I brain's very fuzzy because this happened when I was little. Like he basically almost broke his back on a job site. Tons of surgeries to reconstruct that, and he would always joke around and show us the scar because it was freaking disgusting, and he made light of it, but he never let anything like that get him down. Always was there for us. I remember, like you said, about us trying to make time for the kids, whether they're late for school, they need a ride, they need whatever it is. That's something that my dad always did. So I remember, I've joked about this before, like the being embarrassed to be dropped off by the work van, but hey, he was there. He made the time and he did it for us. And I remember those rides in particular when he would take us, because he would make the time to do it in the morning, and still remember
Yep,
that, many years later now with my kid.
absolutely. Speak of the embarrassment of being dropped off in a work vehicle. It's I had that last year with my daughter when I dropped her off to school one day or picked her up one day. I think it was a pickup,
Mm,
and she's like, I know you're driving the work truck, Dad, but like, can you like drive a better vehicle? Like everybody's picking up their kids in BMWs and Audis and stuff. I'm like, well, when you sit down that vehicle next to the one I'm driving, the work truck I'm driving is basically almost as much, if not more,
yeah,
than
true.
those vehicles, and let alone the tools that are in the truck. And she's like,
Oh my God.
yeah, but all my friends are getting picked up in these. I'm like, I understand and I get that, but you're going to get picked up in a work truck. And, come the day, if you're interested, guess what? You'll sit in this work truck beside me and you'll learn the trade as well if you want.
So how many kids do you have?
Just the one. So I've got
Okay,
one
single.
daughter.
Okay.
She's now in grade eight. I
Mm.
don't know how I have a kid in grade eight. I don't know where the years went.
Dude, tell me about it. Mine is in sixth grade, and I'm like, man, they're getting really old. And I say the same thing because I've been another thing is I've been approached about selling my company. Right, my dad started it. We're
Hmm.
partners now because I run HVAC. He runs the cooking equipment side, hot and cold. Right, perfect partnership.
Yep.
And he's ready to kind of, I think he's finally ready to let loose and let me take over more, let my brother get more involved, right? Because it's us two kind of like taking that over.
Hmm.
And I've been approached, hey, if you ever want to sell, I had somebody try to like wine and dine me. I was like, what are you trying to get at? And he mentioned that he buys companies. I'm like, dude, no, right? That is
Yep.
it. And I know some people can start over, and I've talked to other guys, and I mean, we're going to talk about HVAC tact. I'm actually wearing one of the shirts too. HVAC tactical will
We got
come
to
up.
talk about where's the logo? There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sure that'll come up in our talks today.
yeah, I'm sure it'll come up, but um, because I think Ben was one of them that has just recently started up a company again, right? There's some people that can do that, and I mean, it's to
Yep.
some people that's easy, and it's nothing, but to me, my dad is passing down his business. That's something he started, and I'm very
Hmm.
proud of him for that. I'm very proud of it myself for doing this because let me tell you, man, I did not even know how to use a power drill or any power tools when I started. I'd never, I wasn't like I like to tinker, but I was never the kid that had tools and could build stuff or could work big power tools or anything. So I was never that kid or that teenager. And I'm proud that I got into this trade, the HVAC trade, and did what I could with it, and gotten this far with it, and just really dove into it. So I want that company to live on past me. And I have a son, and my girlfriend has a daughter that we both, they're our kids. We raise them, and I want to teach them these skills as well, even if they don't get into the trade. But I say the same thing like you said. If they ever need a job, I got them. Like, this is what it's for. Like, they can learn a skill, they can have a job, and they don't ever have to worry. That's something that I'm proud to offer them, right? So I'm gonna keep it going, keep passing it along, and eventually my kid will have this to do whatever he wants with. But it's something you can build up on.
100%. Not only, continue to build on it, but it's also going to be something that becomes more valuable over the years as you progress with the business, and as your children enter into it, if they wish to. Given the shortage of skilled trades workers across all domains, it just means that techs are going to be more valuable, and also the amount of money that they command for their services is also going to go up as well. Yeah, we're not going to have a massive influx of people into the skilled trades, um, just because of the amount of time that it's been looked down upon within the higher education system. I'm a product of that myself, as we've talked about
Oh
on
yeah.
the last podcast, and as I've talked about on other podcasts. I was always told, you want to be successful, you got to get a higher education, you got to go to university, you got to go to college. Well, I'm case in point that I've gone as far as you could in that realm, and I found my true success and true happiness within the skilled trades, within HVAC. And given that you don't see too many people coming into this industry, that means with the baby boomers that are coming up on retirement, you know, around the age group that probably your father's in, there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be fewer and fewer of us technicians out there working in the field. And how do you get that back? Well, it's going to take a long time to get those numbers built back up within our trade. And in that interim, the amount of money that will be charged for services is just going to continue to go up as well as a result of it.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I just had an awesome episode that I haven't posted yet. So we're doing these live right now, but I have some recorded that I'm gonna get to very soon. An educator from up north in North Texas, and we talked a lot about expectations as well. So the other thing is,
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. You got to work hard. You got to want it. You got to devote yourself to it. Just like with anything, like nobody, and like I said, we'll get into social media in a bit, but like it's very different right now. Kids think everything's easy. There's certain generations that might see, stuff on TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. But like nobody is either famous. Well, I mean, there's exceptions, right? Let me say that before I finish. But nobody is famous or super successful for no reason or just randomly. Like any famous people that I've seen, like on TikTok, whether they're famous for a dumb dance or any creators in the blue collar world, if you go actually look at their background, they're either professional dancers, they've been doing HVAC or electrician or plumbing, whatever it is, for like 20 years, and they've been doing content for I don't know how many, and it finally like hit for them, right? Like everything is devotion and
Yep.
what you put into it, right? You get out what you put into it. And I want, because we were talking about expectations, I want people to understand you don't just show up and you get paid big bucks, right? You don't just show up and get the high level job. You start and you kind of scrap for things for like the first few years, and then you can kind of, like I said, build it up. And that's with being a technician, being an installer, being a business owner. You all start somewhere.
Yeah, you'll have to pay those dues right off the hop. So, going to your point of, different social media personalities that, you know, appear to be, have these massive accounts and massive followings. And, in some cases, it appears that they just popped up overnight. One example that comes to mind, to go to the point of you got to put in the work, and it's the consistency that pays off. is a Spanish drummer uh, on YouTube. The account El Estapario Siberiano. The
Hmm.
guy does a whole bunch of drum covers of literally anything and everything. A lot on the like heavier metal stuff
I think I've
side.
seen. I
Did a
think I've
lot of
seen that guy.
one-handed drumming.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy was posting content for years and years before just finally it clicked and started to take off. And now the guy has something over 4 to 5 million followers on YouTube just from
Yeah.
doing different drum covers.
Yeah, I've seen those
So
people, and I've seen. I
putting
think
in
I've
the
seen that
time,
guy.
putting in the work and grind pays off.
And that's the only way. I mean, you don't just get there. And believe me, I've when I started in this trade, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to use a power drill, and I just took that because the other thing that I've mentioned and I've talked about is like you compete with yourself. So that's another thing with social media is, we've both been in social media for a while, and we've been doing, what we, our own kind of content, and just diving into that whole thing. And
Yep.
what you see on social media is not always like the whole picture. You have all these, because what goes on social media, or what tends to go on social media, is always like the perfect install, or the perfect job, or whatever it is. Like that's usually what you see, or what you've seen in the past. And I know
Hmm.
someone has said it before, like don't get caught up with what everybody else is doing. You just need to focus on yourself. So with yourself, are you getting better every day? Are you trying? Are you learning more after work? Those little things versus like trying to mimic what somebody, like I mean, I can throw out Jeff Jadem, or I know there's a few others that have those perfect installs, but he's been doing that for years and years and years. And that, like,
Yep.
he started posting, a few years ago. That's from, I don't know how many years of like trial and error. And even myself, like I was saying, I didn't know anything, and I got into it, and I got hit with reality that, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I need to get better at this.
Yeah. Even once you've built up a skill base and have been working for a while, there are times where a piece of equipment is just going to humble you and bring you right back down to ground. You might walk in
Yeah.
with a bit of an ego, thinking, oh, I got this. This is no problem. And next thing you know, you're banging your head against the side of the equipment, questioning, do you even really know anything in the HVAC trade? Um, Definitely had more than a few moments like that during my career, and I'm sure I'll have more than a few going on forward as well. There's always stuff that's going to humble you.
I think Jason was talking about one of those days. Took him 3 hours to do something that should have took 45 minutes, which I've been there. I've had
We all
those
have.
where it's like an all day thing, and you're like, I should have been out of here in an hour or two. And oh, that's the saying that I like to say, because he's like, I got my ass handed to me. It's okay though, as I still need a day like today. Everybody, that's one of those reality checks. And whenever I
Yep,
have something like that, I always say that too. It's like it really, it really kicked my ass that day. But sometimes you need a kick in the ass to be better. I mean, if you,
yep,
because another thing that I apply to the trade, and even like doing content, is you can't stay stagnant. You can't get comfortable. If you don't challenge yourself or make mistakes, you don't really learn, honestly.
exactly. And it's days like that that you have your ass handed to you on a site. Yeah, you eat a piece of humble pie, and really, some people feel defeated and go on to lick their wounds. You got to
Mm-hmm.
adopt a bit of a different mindset in that situation. And yeah, it might suck going through that in the moment. However, what did you learn from it? How are you going to better yourself for the next time that something similar like this comes up? Because there will be a next time,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to figure out, how are you going to best tackle that and, mentally cope with it as well. Because not only is it a mental struggle, but, conditions that we work in are often add a physical level of stress to it as well. So, Adrian, you were saying that temperatures down in your area of Texas were, up and over, 105, almost 110.
Yeah.
And, that definitely adds a level of, stress to troubleshooting and working
Mm-hmm.
on pieces of equipment, just as, the opposite end of the spectrum. So, as today I was listening to, when I was driving around, I was listening to your podcast with a friend of ours, Brett Wetzel, and you're talking about the different temperature extremes that Brett has worked in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, both the hot and cold extremes definitely take a toll, not only physically on you, but mentally on you as well, while you're trying to fix an issue for a customer.
That's why I'm very adamant, or I forget the word, but like when we have guys that work for us, so because I have like we've had more, but right now we have like one senior tech. We've had several before, and right now we have a lot of younger guys, apprentices, right? I'm very adamant that they need to take care of themselves because, I mean, for one, as a business owner, you don't want callbacks. You don't want, your guys to stress, pass out. There's a whole bunch of things that can happen, right? But I tell them, I'm like, please cover up. So we try to get them, long sleeves, the big hats. I just actually picked up an order of the Subco umbrellas, the magnetic umbrellas, right? Handed them out to the guys. And I tell them, like, take a break when you can, but that you need to protect yourself and cover yourself and work in like my dad has always been like that because he used to get us like beach umbrellas. This was before like the Subco one was a thing, and now we buy the Subco magnetic umbrella and give them out. It's a big difference too because if you're working out in, like you said, any extreme weather, but like for me it's the sun. I get frustrated twice as fast if I'm just out there baking in the sun, right? So I always tell the guys, like, make sure if you need anything, let me know. We'll get you whatever you need because that makes a big difference. And just taking care of yourself because I'm guilty of it too. Um, Pushing through when we need to, right? You might need an extra. You're not done with the call, but you're sweating buckets. You're ready to pass out. Just take that break. I try to push through it too, but we can't. We're not Superman, basically. We're not superheroes. We fix things for people, but we're mortal. And I know there was a few. I need to look them up that have made the news because they pass out and it can be fatal sometimes. So you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's also not to get, just so laser focused on the task at hand. Be aware of your own physical state and mental state while you're doing the job as well. And it's okay to just put stuff down and take that break. The problem's still going to be there once you've taken that break and come back to it. I'm guilty of it just as you are as well, Adrian. Like, I've been out on roofs where, it's in the mid to 90s to low hundreds up here in Toronto, Canada area. And I'm just laser focused on a task at hand, trying to fix an issue with a rooftop unit. And next thing you know, a couple hours go by, if not more, and I've gone from sweating to now I've stopped sweating. Well, that's a big problem. As soon as you stop sweating, you're into heat exhaustion territory. It's had to have a coworker of mine at that point say, "Hey, like, go away. Go to your truck, take a half hour, take an hour, drink a bunch of water. Like, you're going to be no good the next coming days after that if you don't take care of yourself right now."
See, we need more of that too, like looking out for each other because, like you might not think you can or want to stop. And I've done that too. And sometimes I come down the ladder like all shaky and stuff because I'm already like ready to, my body's ready to quit. And I'm like, I need to go sit down. So, look out for each other as well. I know there's always that meme of like two guys working on a job and they're not really, it's not a two-man job, but sometimes it's just better to look out for each other and It, you know, us, because it happened with one of our apprentices one time, is he was so wrapped up in this call. It was a small reaching cooler, so I was gonna go help him, and I'm like, it's just like I've already been doing this 18, 19 years, so I'm like, once I get there, I'll figure it out. Like it's not a big deal. But he's new, and he's coming from nursing as well, so like big change, right? I don't expect him to get it right away, but he's been doing really well. Now he got stumped, and he was like worrying about it, stressing out a little bit, and my dad checked in on him, which is a good thing, right? My dad always checks in on people. I love business owners that do that when they check in on their guys, make sure they're good. They need anything. That's kind of what I've been trying to learn and take from that to apply it as well. But yeah, my dad's like, look, you sound stressed out. Please go take a lunch break, because this guy I think was also working through lunch. He's like, please go take a lunch break. It'll be there when you get back. Don't worry about it. Clear your mind and then start over. And then I got there and I walked him through some stuff and we got it going. So it's not the end of the world, like you said. Like it's broken. It's still gonna be broken an hour later if you need a break, whatever it is, like a lunch break, 30-minute break, 15-minute break, whatever it is. And don't be too prideful to pick up that phone and call somebody also, which I'll get into in a bit. Mentorship is a big, important thing. But when I started, I didn't like calling people. That was my problem.
Yeah, it could. Well, back when you and I were starting in the industry and trade, there was a different mindset in terms of reaching out
Yeah.
for help and also people offering to give help. Uh, what I found coming up as an apprentice was the old mindset of the mechanics thinking, well, if I teach Matt what I know, well, then I'm not going to have a job. He's the apprentice. He's cheaper, cheaper bill out. So then if he knows how to go do what I do, well, then the company's just going to go send him so they turn more profit. And it's completely inaccurate and almost, well, not almost, it is a um, wrong mindset to have, um,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this day and age. And
And I
it's
don't
never
know.
be afraid to ask a question
Yeah, and I
and
don't know
never
what it
be afraid
is.
to offer an answer.
That whole mindset, because they all kind of connect together. Like I don't know if it's a macho thing or whatever. Because my dad was guilty of it too. Because but he learned when he got into the food service, and then because he had to learn all that from scratch and obviously ask for help. But like the pushing through and working through lunch, I would always get after him, like, take a lunch, like, don't, because
Mm-hmm.
now he does it to us. But I remember when we started, because he was like more heavy into turning wrenches, where now he's more of like the boss, right? And I
Yeah,
used to get after him too. I'm like, why are you working so much? So that whole, I think all those little things kind of connect to each other, and we need to realize, because I know somebody said it, like, you don't you don't live to work, you work to live, right? You want to enjoy what you build from your work life, and you don't want it to take over and break your body down and kind of stress you out. Like, you don't want that to bleed over into what you have going on at home or your personal life or anything like that.
exactly. I think it was saw a quick little clip. I haven't had a chance to watch the full podcast. I don't know if it's released yet, but Josh Zolin's new podcast that he's transferred away from Blue is the New White to, I'm absolutely drawing a blank on the new title, Everything They Didn't Tell You.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
his latest clip he had posted with his guest, the guest was talking about um, how we need to be present. So as technicians, when you're at work, the clip went something along the lines of, as a technician, when you're at work, well, you're thinking about home life. You're thinking, oh, it'd be better to be at home. I got so much to do at home. But then once you get home, you think, I've got so much at work to do. Oh, I got to figure out this problem. So then you're never actually really present in either
That's a tough one.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes a concerted mental effort and just shifting your overall thinking pattern to actually ask yourself and look at, are you actually being present when you need to be for the specific task at hand or the specific situation, whether that be work or whether that be family or whether that be something else.
That's having, I mean, at work, that's having a clear mind, because man, when you have stuff going on at home and
Yep.
you kind of bring that, and I think it was Ty Brenneman on my show, because I asked him about it because I had heard him talk about it, and he has like this little saying, like when you leave for work, hang up all your personal stuff at the door, don't take it with you, right? And he's like, when you get
Yep.
home, hang it up in your van. You don't bring it inside. You don't bring all that work stuff. And it's so true, because I mean it works both ways, because and I've been there. I've I've been in this trade since I was about 20 years old, so a lot of changes, a lot of things that I've gone through and dealt with. And you could be at work and you're worried about something that me sometimes it is important, sometimes it's not important, but you're just trying to get through that day, and you need a clear head to do what we do realistically, right? You any Because you
Yep.
mentioned the danger in it, because I've thought about that before. Now, I don't think I was super afraid of heights or anything like that. Like, I got over everything really quick. I got up on rooftops. I got a bad knee now, so I think about it. I kind of think twice about it now. But um, when I started, I was like, I'll do anything. I'll get up there. I'll do whatever. Get into these weird crawl spaces or attic spaces. But there's a lot of danger, right? I don't think about it, but I've had others bring it up. Like, what if you fall off the ladder? What if you slip off a roof? What if? And my whole thing is like, well, if you don't have a clear mind at work, you could accidentally fall off. You could accidentally like shock yourself because you're not thinking clearly. There's all these dangers that are present every single day that we do our job. So that's my biggest concern, is you're not focused and something bad happens. Obviously, you can't do your job. You might not, fix something. You might get a call back. There's other things that happen, but you got to have a clear mind at work. And then in the home is where I'm also concerned about presence, because a lot of us have families, kids, and I can tell you right now, like, they're going to remember if you were present or not. That's one of the biggest things, and that's one of my fears, is that I'm not present, and my kids,
Yep.
resent me for that or something. I don't want that to happen. So when when you get home, turn it off. And when you get to work, leave everything at the door.
Unless you have a reminder set for certain podcasts to listen to, then
Yeah.
take that little break. I'm kidding. It's always family first, and you plan everything else around that. So, when you initially reached out to me, what was it, like 2 days ago? I think
Last
you
minute.
reached
Yeah.
out saying, hey, I know this is super last minute, Matt, but are you available to jump on the podcast? I'm like, well, let me just check a few things
See,
here and
yeah, and I
make
understand
sure
that part of
that
it.
we're all good to go. And yeah, shuffle a few things around, and it's been a good hot minute since we've had the opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to lose out on the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with you. But at the same time, if there was something more pressing with family, then it'd be, Adrian, thank you so much for reaching out. However, could we look at doing this a little later down the road? But happy everything, the stars aligned, and
Yeah.
we're able to
Thanks.
sit down and have this talk.
I appreciate that, man. But I totally get that, because and I've had these conversations because of more of the stuff that I do now, with content creation and everything. Like, you know, being a guest myself on other podcasts, right? Because everybody does it a different day, different schedules, all that. If
Yep.
something interferes, like, if, well, I don't want to say interfere, but like if we're doing something here at home, or it's like dinner time, or something we want to do here, I am not leaving that for honestly, not for work either. I try to cut that off as well. Unless it's like a dire emergency, right? The walk-in freezer's thawed out, everything's like going bad. Okay, fine. If somebody else can't go, I'll go. But for certain calls, schedule for tomorrow. Certain events or things that we have as content creators. I don't know. Like I got family first. That's always my reaction. And like you said, I'll talk to the family, see what we got going on, if it's even doable or anything. But we have things that we do here. We do dinner every day, and then we have our tradition is like Saturday evenings is to barbecue and have the kids outside, enjoy a little family time out there. And I'm not dropping that for anything. I'm gonna make sure that we do that every week because that's our one thing that we do every week. And just I try to make that time with the kids or the family, and nothing else can interfere with that.
Yeah, and those are moments that you're never gonna get back. You never can make
They're
again.
growing. They're growing so
So
quick.
you know exactly. But just like I was saying, like how do I have a daughter that's going into grade 8 and is after this academic year is going to fly by,
Yeah.
and then next year she's off to high school. Like how the heck do I have a kid that's almost ready to go to high school? We're going to blink and your kids are going to be in that situation
Oh
before you
yeah.
know it as well.
Oh yeah.
It
And
goes way too fast, man. Way too fast.
my son has been interested in coming to work. He's like, when can I work? I was like, oh, soon enough. Don't you worry. I'll make sure to jump on that as early as we can. We're gonna get you a summer job or something, But man,
Yeah.
they're getting older. It's crazy.
Which in turn also means we're getting older as well.
I don't want to think about that part.
Blink and uh, I look in the mirror and I'm reminded of it every day now. Like I don't know where all this gray hair came from.
Oh, I know. My
But
daughter and
yeah,
and
time waits for no man.
are always like, "Hey, you got another gray hair coming out." I'm like, it is what it is. I'm not even trying to think about it.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
kind of wanted to get into, which we've gotten into a lot of good points already, but maybe some of the social media stuff. So I've always enjoy your videos because you've been going more into, and I know it's only like a sneak peek. So if you can tell us a little bit more about that, you are cutting open compressors, showing a lot of stuff that you're doing with the Aeon stuff, or just work in general. And like I said, you're showing the internals of the compressors, and I want to say that you get into that a little more detailed for a specific or like elsewhere if you want to kind of touch on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it was probably about gosh, a year and a half or so ago that a fellow friend of ours, Jennifer Manzo, reached out to me. And it was about the time when I started auto feeding the content from my Instagram over to a Facebook page. And she'd seen some of my like parts breakdowns of like some gas valves or something, or it may have been a potential relay. And Jennifer reached out saying, hey, for the HVA Chicks Facebook coalition page, would you mind being a weekly content sponsor where you do an educational post, whatever you feel like? It's complete creative freedom for me to post whatever I feel like,
Oh,
longer
okay.
format than like the 1.5 minute that you have for reels on Instagram.
Hmm.
I can go into much longer, like what people can do with long content on YouTube. I just don't like to take my phone and flip it landscape. I just keep
Well, what's
it
what's a
straight up
typical
and
like
down.
what's a typical like video length that you end up posting over there?
They vary anywhere from a couple minutes to 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
So a while back, we did a 6-part series on variable frequency drives. And the main meat and potatoes of it was taking the three main components of a variable frequency drive and then doing a deeper dive into how it operates and how to test the different components within it based off of the selection of drives I have out of Aon products. So we predominantly focused on Yaskawa VFDs, but the overall principles apply to all VFDs that are out there within the industry and in the market. So, you know, having the freedom to make long form mentoring educational content is something that I'm very appreciative that Jennifer lets me kind of have free reign on the
Mm-hmm.
HVAC Coalition Facebook page. We've she came up with the name for the series as Diagnose with the Doc. So even if it's something out in the field that I find that's gone wrong on a product, I can queue up the phone and make a little educational reel of hey, we had this problem. This is
Okay.
how we diagnosed it. This is what we did for troubleshooting, and this is what we're going to do to resolve that issue. And
I don't know if that's me or Matt that paused. I'll give it a
the day
second.
before that,
Oh,
we're lagging.
You paused like for a couple of
Oh,
seconds, but go ahead.
as the compressor teardown that I recently did. It was
Yeah.
on a VFD compressor out of a Aon air source heat pump. So I hadn't torn apart a Copeland VFD compressor yet. I've done a Danfoss one, and each compressor you open, I, I like Ty Brenneman saying that compressors don't fail; they're murdered. So each compressor you open up, you're going to be learning something new. It's literally doing an autopsy on a compressor to find
Yeah,
out
because you
what
can see
actually murdered, what killed it,
what broke or what
and
wore out, and there's like
each one's a little
signs
different.
and symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah, there's telltale signs of what caused the compressor to fail. So the VFD one that we're talking about here that I posted a day or so ago. What I found eventually, well, when I popped the scroll set open, I saw a lot of circular scoring marks in the scroll set. So that's something called scroll galling. That's the
Mm.
two scrolls are actually scrubbing against each other, and the metal's rubbing on metal, creating that circular pattern. Well, that's due to lack of oil in the scroll set. So as we dove a bit deeper, the top bearing on the scroll set, the upper bearing, had completely worn and started to shred apart. As we got down to the bottom of the compressor, the bottom bearing, the rotor shaft is hollow, and that's how oil travels up to the upper components in the compressor. Well, that was completely plugged up with cupro oxide. So
Yeah.
there was no oil getting sent up because it had been blocked up by black copper flakes due to, in my humble opinion,
Well,
improper nitrogen flowing while brazing.
people always say, why do you have to flow nitrogen? There's plenty of you might not see it right away, but if you, like you said, if you do a whole autopsy and you kind of get down to, because typically, and honestly, it's because it's easy to change a part, right? It's easy to just replace that compressor and then like you get another however many years out of it. But why did it break? That's always been my biggest thing when I got into this trade, and I've learned to not be so obsessed with it, just because on a day-to-day, business standpoint, you got to just do what's best for the customer, get in and get out sometimes. So it's not always, I can't always figure like the exact reason. It's just like bad compressor. Okay, change it out. But if you were to be able to look inside and figure out what happened, whether it's a compressor, TXV, any of these major components that should not give out, there's it's just improper practices. Like nobody flowed
Yep.
nitrogen. You burnt up the seals or something because you were on that torch too long. There's a bunch of different reasons,
Didn't
or you didn't pull
protect
a.
a valve with heat
Yeah,
blocking, putty
and I
or
would get,
gel or even a wet rag.
yeah, wet rag at its base, right? And people always ask me why I use like a putty or paste or something. A wet rag is nice until you have a lot to braise and that wet rag dries up and it's like I don't have water on the roof, right? So that's why I like to use like the putty and stuff, because you just kind of use pieces of it. You have a whole tub of it basically, and you can braise that way. Because the number every time I bring that up or I show that I use it, there's always that one comment, "You don't know how to beat that stuff," and it's like, we'll see if those valves go bad in a couple years because you didn't protect them or they start leaking. I've seen that plenty of times. You
Yeah,
get these weird leaks because you can tell they burnt the hell out of that valve or
they overheated
TXV.
it way too much.
It, yeah, if you were to look inside, you'd be able to see that.
Yeah. And, the people that say, oh, we don't need these products because, I've been doing this for so long and, I've never overheated a valve or I've never had to flow nitrogen and I've never had an issue.
How do you
Well,
know?
how do you know? Are you
Yeah,
coming back to that appliance, that piece of equipment down the road when it does invariably fail? Because it may not be from improper practices of not flowing nitrogen. It could be something completely unrelated to that. It could be an electrical issue, but anything electrical and mechanical that has applied voltage to it or has moving parts can and will fail. And how do you better yourself as a technician? Yeah, there's from the business standpoint and also from the technician standpoint, press for time. Oh, it's just this bad component. We'll get it changed, get the system back up and going. We're good to go. Well, for me, I do that to a certain degree in what I do on the day to day, but I stockpile, all these failed parts and components to then bring them home to satisfy my academic curiosity and also just
yeah.
curiosity in general of, well, can I figure out what was the root cause of the failure? And if I can get to the bottom of what that was, well, that arms me with more knowledge, makes me a better technician. And I also want to share that knowledge with whatever audience is willing to engage with it and take in that information to hopefully make that next person that much of a better technician as well.
See that, and I'll say it again. The smallest, the smallest amount of effort will make you a better technician. So being curious and always learning, those are good qualities to have. And just me in general, when I started, I had to know why and how of everything. Like, why did this fail? Why are we changing out this part? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Because if I didn't understand it, like, you're just changing out parts because someone told you to, or whatever it is. So I always wanted to know, why these things happen. So that was always my research. And I feel like I got a little too obsessive. It would keep me up at night. It would bother me. Like, that was the whole like conversation earlier where you got to separate work and personal, because I would stay up all night just like, why did this happen? Or not feeling great about a day at work or something like that. So healthy amount of obsession is always good.
Yeah, absolutely. Once it gets into the realm of its detracting away from your time with family or you know pulling away from you having a proper night's sleep or taking away from you just taking care of your basic physical needs as a human. And that's when you got to take that step back and go, how is this really benefiting myself or
Yeah.
anybody in doing and obsessing over things in that manner? Can we all do it? Absolutely. You've done it. I've done it. There's countless other people in the chat that have done this as well. But it's finding that balance for educating yourself, educating the next person, and also making sure that you're good to go mentally, physically for that next day, for your family, for your coworkers, for your employer. If you're the boss of an owner of the company, that you're in that proper mindset to be able to, run that company.
Yeah. I'm not sure who he's directing this at. Mikey Pipes has a huge creator. I'm pretty sure. I haven't checked the last time that I checked. I know his YouTube channels. He has several actually now. Uh, but if I helped anyone at any point, that's awesome. That's the only reason I kind of still do this is because of the messages I get. So I've been trying to be better about the content that I put out and trying to be more with purpose, I guess, right? Like, okay, I need to talk more. I need to show more. I need to help more. You said those videos that you were doing that's going to be on Facebook on the HVA Chicks page, right?
Yep. Yeah. So longer format, more in depth, diagnostic and
And
discussion of
I love that.
stuff is going to be over there.
I love
I
that, man, because
appreciate that. Yeah.
when I went to school, I'm a visual learner. So anytime that one of our teachers showed a cutaway or took the time to take things apart and show us like how the internals worked, how this worked, that's when it clicked for me, because just telling me something, it doesn't register. Like I can't do it
Yeah.
that way. And obviously getting
Yeah.
like hands on experience is always best, but they had this really cool section as you would go into what we like the lab, right? Where we did like the charging, the diagnosing, like hands on stuff. There's always this or there was this case of uh what do you call it? Cut open compressors and valves. I would always have to
Yeah.
stop by it and like just look at it because I was always, like I said, visual learner. Just I like that kind of stuff. So what you're doing on that Facebook page is great. So highly encourage anybody that wants to see that kind of stuff to go over to HVA Chicks and check out what Matt has on Facebook, because again, I think that it clicks with a lot of people when you can see stuff like that and explain it and be like, here, here's why, here's how, here's why, and just as much information as you can get. So that's been really cool to see, and that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of talk about it, because
For sure.
being a
We
resource for people is great.
Yeah, and we're also bringing this live to people as well, like actually face to face at different trade shows. So
Oh, okay.
uh, the hat up here, the A team that I'm a big part of, we're popping up at different trade shows. So one of the ones we did recently was Heat Pump Symposium in Toronto. uh, I forget how many months ago that was, but at that heat pump symposium, I brought a reversing valve out of a 7-ton package rooftop unit
I'm
that
not
I
looking forward to
completely
my
cut in
first
half.
reversing valve repair. I have not done one yet.
They're they're not fun. Um, Depending on where they're installed, I do recommend bringing more couplings and also the nitrogen
Okay.
purging boot from Supco as well, so that
I
you
just
can
I
actually,
just
if
picked that
the
up.
valve is in a it is an awesome little tool. So if the valve's in a very awkward spot, you can cut down further the line and add
Yeah.
in couplings and use that pipe work. Um, cut out the valve, sweat out the pieces that you need, and then rebraze them into the valve while purging nitrogen through it using that nitrogen purging boot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have couplings left to do when you place everything back into the unit. Uh, and you strategically place the couplings where they're out of any spot where you're going to have problem burning anything or have a problem
Yeah.
brazing the valve into the system. But yeah, I brought a fully cut apart reversing valve
Show and
that
tell.
we had on the table for students to show and tell and learn about, and show them the internal workings of the valve and get their hands in on it and get them sliding the slider cup back and forth and telling them
Yeah.
where the refrigerant's going to travel within that valve depending on where that slider cup is placed. So it
Yeah.
was a
That's how
very
you gotta.
rewarding and awesome
That's how you
thing to
connect
do.
with the kids, right? Like show and tell. Like
Yep.
here, try it out or look at it yourself.
Yep.
That's always a good one.
Yep, we're going to be looking to get 18 members, hopefully set up doing similar things within different high schools and trade schools as well. So that'd
That's
be something
awesome.
that we're looking forward to down the line as well with the work that we're doing with the A team and infra air HVAC.
That's awesome. Hit them at the schools because we all grew up, and I never saw any of that in my schools, as far as like trades. So that's always a big emphasis for me is like, just show these kids what it is to be in the trades, what it's all about, in particular to, HVAC. And you never know, these some kids might pick up on it, they might like it, because I know myself, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to tinker with things and work on things. And traveling is good for me. I like the windshield time. I like going to different job sites, seeing different equipment. So that's always been big for me. And growing up, I was like, what am I going to do? I didn't know any of this blue collar stuff. And I think we need to, have more trade awareness in general.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, educational content like the stuff we're putting out on HVAC Coalition is helping to make a difference. And I know Jennifer is using different videos from this series for her national training sessions that she does with technicians across the United States, which is absolutely awesome to have a small little role in the bigger picture of the amazing work that Jennifer does. And I also know that you yourself, Adrian, have been gearing towards more educational content to help out the industry as well. It's awesome to see that coming out of your page as well to help that next generation and current generation as well throughout the
Yeah,
trades.
it's crazy because, like I said, I get those messages. So I've had people that are older than me, like, no, your videos are helpful, so thank you for that. Or people getting into the trade, and like I said, I mean, that's kind of why I keep doing it. That's the rewarding factor on the content side. Like at work, it's fixing that equipment for the customer, how happy they are. On the content side, it's like it was helpful to somebody, or they needed that piece of content for some reason. And that's what makes it worthwhile. And that's why I keep posting. So yeah, I've been trying to, like I said, be more, just more content with purpose, trying to help pay it forward, because I'm sure as well as I do, mentorship is a huge thing. Because I've given credit to the guys that I worked with, because I mean, some of them were bad, so I knew what not to do from some of them. But there was a few that gave me all their little tips and tricks, told me to chill out, take it easy, all the pep talk to make me feel comfortable to go out and do my own calls. So I needed that. I know other guys need that. I'm trying to provide that as best as I can on any platform, or just locally with the apprentices that we have. So to me, like you said, there was a mindset when we were coming in that I always say that it was like a competitive thing. Like nobody wanted to give out their secrets. Everybody thought, it was like every man for themselves, whatever it is. And I think now it's the time to pay it forward, because I don't want to be doing this, honest. Like, in my opinion, I don't want to be doing this, being on the rooftop, being in the sun, going into, however old I'm going to be when I'm still running this business. Let somebody else learn under you, and let them do this work, and kind of keep it going. Because I mean, you mentioned it also, there's not that many coming in, and a big part of it
Mm-hmm.
is because they don't have anybody to learn from, or they don't, the companies don't give them a chance. Older techs run them out. Like there's a bunch of reasons for that, and we need to be better about paying it forward.
100%. Paying it forward. And also, we've mentioned it a couple of times throughout our discussion this evening, is being honest about what the work really is. It's not all,
Expectations, yeah.
you know, yep, it's not all sunshine, lollipops,
Mm-mm.
and every day is easy. There's a lot of paying your dues to get to the point where you're allowed to work on the stuff that people like you and myself get to work on independently. It takes a lot of time and many years to get to the point where you're entrusted by a customer or by your employer to go work on something independently. And apprentices that are coming up within the industry that want to get to that point, don't look at your journey person thinking, oh, why do they get to go do this and I'm stuck doing, say, filter changes or belt changes.
or
Put
the
in the
pay.
time.
I get that a lot.
Yep. Yep. Put in your time doing that because we had to do that as well. And your time will come when you're taught, how to go out and do these things independently by yourself. You got to learn to crawl before you run. You got to learn the basics, ground your knowledge in the basics, have a strong, very strong understanding of the fundamentals and basics of the refrigeration cycle and electricity. And having that will only make you a better technician moving forward, and always go back and refresh that understanding as well. And next thing you know, 10, 20 years are going to go by and you're going to go, well, how did I get to this point?
Yeah, I'm right there right
Uh,
now.
exactly.
Um,
And,
yeah, and honestly, the basics get you out of a jam more times than not. So please understand your basics, understand the refrigeration cycle, and for me, the electrical side was the hard part. So I had to learn that um, when I got out of school and really zone in on that. And once I figured out, everything's like switches and how the safeties work, that then I was fine. And I think Jason had mentioned it a while ago when you learn to read that schematic, because that always put me ahead of a lot of other technicians, because a lot of them didn't know how to properly read, or what some of these things meant or how they were wired. And I was like, oh, I know how to read a schematic. I can do it, right? So that got me out, especially
yeah,
when people cut wires and put wire nuts everywhere. You're gonna have to go back to that schematic or find one online and rewire that. So plenty of times where that got me out of a jam. And I always tell people, more times than not, it's something simple. You just have to kind of sit down and think about it for a minute, and then not everything, because I not everything is a bad compressor, bad TXV. Believe me, it's usually something simple.
yeah. That's, go to your basic ABCs.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
air before charge. Are
Lately,
the
I've
coils
had
dirty? Are the filters clean?
lately I've had so
So on and
many
so forth.
that are like AC is not keeping up, not cooling, and our guys, maybe they're new. They're like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and I'm like, let's look in the ceiling really quick, because we got a drop ceiling at the restaurants, and then you got like a
Hmm.
disconnected duct, or you got like a hole in your return, or something crazy that you're not. It's just airflow at the end of the day. So a lot of
Yeah.
that this summer, and not installed properly. There's tons of things. So
Oh yeah.
just go
At the
back
end
to
of the day,
basics.
to simplify. Sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, just keep it simple
Yeah. Going along the lines of
and
keeping it simple.
trust yourself.
The
Like, cause I
Yep.
always second guess myself, and then I make it a bigger thing than what it is. If you've been trained, or you worked under somebody, or you went to trade school, kind of trust what you've learned, and apply it. Because when I started, that was my thing, is I freaked out a lot on little things, and
Hmm.
then I made it worse than what it was, right? Like, I'm like, oh my god, it has to be something big, or this. Slow down. It's usually something simple more times than not.
Yep. Address the simple things first before you start leaning towards it being a more complicated, more problematic issue to address. Take care of the
So,
simple things on your checklist first, and then if all those check out fine, then you have to start looking at more complex issues or more complex problems with the system. I,
sure.
Today I was asked by someone, "Oh, you're an HVAC tech. What is it that you do?" Yeah, in a simple way, simple terms. I'm like, well, I can summarize it in two acronyms. I move CFMs and BTUs. They're like, well, CFMs and BTUs. I'm like, I'll have to explain the acronyms. So, CFMs is a measure of airflow. I move air. And BTUs is a measure of heat. I move heat. Well, don't you do like cooling? I'm like, that's still moving heat. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden the light bulb went off in their head. Like, it actually
Mm,
is. It's hot in my house and I want to make it cold. I got to get rid of that heat. We're just moving air and moving heat. And keep
that's a
that
good
in
way to put
mind
it.
as, you know, systems can be, increasingly more and more complex. But at the end of the day, for packaged rooftop units, it's just a box on a roof that's going to move air and heat. You just got to figure out how it's doing it. Each one does it a little bit different.
Yeah, Kitchen Cowboy was like the diagram saving grace today on a machine that he was working on, able to trace
Mm-hmm.
it back. That was always a big thing is tracing back things because again, it's not always going to be something major. It's going to be like a wiring issue or electrical. I was always taught it's electrical 90% of the time. So I took that to
Yep.
heart and I just make sure that everything, like you said, you have a checklist or whatever. Everything else is fine until you get to even putting on your gauges and things like that. Like you want to check everything else first. Um, so we mentioned before, and I kind of wanted to squeeze this in before we end the show. Yeah, you're going to be at AHR.
Yeah. So already booked for AHR Vegas, also for the Tactical Award Show. So looking forward to seeing everybody there.
The tickets went public.
Also,
Yeah.
yep. For those that got their pre-release tickets, awesome. Now that the tickets are public, if you were offered pre-release and you've slept on it, now that they're public, those are going to get snatched up like hotcakes. So get your tickets now while they're still available, because once they're sold out, you're out of luck.
SOL.
Unless, yep, you're SOL unless someone, you know, cancels their
Nobody,
ticket or can't make
nobody's
it.
giving up.
Sometimes that happens,
Well,
but
I guess.
typically no one typically gives up their ticket
Yeah,
to an event like that. And it's just been getting bigger and bigger each and every year that Ben's had that event going.
I loved it last year. It was so great. The quality just goes up. It's always cool to see people and get to see the people that we see online. So, yourself,
Yep.
I've met almost everybody that has like ever been in a chat here or on Instagram, on YouTube. You run into everybody, and that's what I want to make more time for this go around in Vegas because the last one that I went to, I kind of booked myself a little too much, and I didn't get to enjoy the just roaming around as much. So I want to make sure that I do that this time. So if anybody
100%.
is thinking about going, we'll be there. I can't wait to get out there to Vegas. That's a good one to attend. It's nice weather usually. It's bearable and it's a fun time.
Yeah, the last AHR, I wasn't able to make it to Orlando due to a major family event that had transpired. But the one before that in Chicago,
It's cold.
weather-wise, yeah, they had that ice storm the first night of AHR. So I remember after the Takeo party, we were pretty much ice shuffling our
Oh
feet
yeah.
across the streets to get to different locations that we had obligations to go to. So thankfully, that won't happen in Vegas.
Mm-mm.
After AHR in Vegas 2026, um, in Toronto near the end of March, uh, Canada has basically its version of AHR called CMPX, and it's
Oh, that's
held
right.
every other year in Toronto. So anybody that's within the Toronto, Canada area or is willing to travel into that area, I highly recommend putting CMPX on your schedule. I'll be there along with the crew from Infrared HVAC and a whole bunch of the A team members, a number of which you've had on your show already. So like Brandy, I'm sure she'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gary McCready, Tyler Dines, whole bunch of people on the A team, a whole bunch of great social media personalities will be there. And it's a smaller show. So you can actually spend a
See
day
everything?
just with people. You can actually see the entire show in a day if you pace yourself properly,
No,
unlike
well, the
AHR where
last
you
AHR,
cannot.
yeah, my I was exhausted on the last one. My feet hurt, and it was a
Yeah.
long one, but it's fun. I mean, I can't wait to get out there, chat with everybody. Like I said, we have the podcast pavilion. I'm pretty pumped about that. So I can't wait to get out there and just enjoy it more this time. The award show. If you guys haven't yet, get your tickets, get your nominations in. I feel like there's a lot of deserving content creators. It's not easy, like as well as I do.
No.
It's a whole other job, and anybody that you see that is successful, again, I will reiterate, they put in the hard work. They're doing this on their own free time. They're staying up editing, and it's not like HVAC techs are natural at like editing and videography and photography. Like this is something we all like learn on our own and figure it out, and then like I said, it's a whole other job. So if you guys
100%.
can go nominate your favorite YouTube or Instagram person for that award show, because it's super big honor. I know you have one. I have one, mine up here.
Yep.
Huge
Got
honor.
one kicking up somewhere on the shelf back there.
So huge honor.
It was
I'm so grateful for it.
absolutely. And although I wasn't able to attend the last Tactical Awards show, my highlight moment out of that show was seeing one of my best friends and techs that I've had the pleasure of working couple of sites with, and we periodically cross paths doing startups on similar sites. Ilya Martinovich, the HVAC foodie, who
Great
was the
speech.
most recent best speech of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not being biased, being one of his friends, but it was a huge honor for me just to be able to sit at home on my computer and watch him accept that award. It was so well deserved for him for all the work that he does,
Yeah.
supporting the product line that he works on and has worked on his entire career. There's no better deserving candidate that year for that particular award, for the Lifeline Tech Award. So I'm humbled and honored to have won it 2 years prior to him. And
Hmm.
I am extremely humbled and honored to say that both of us have won that same award. It's absolutely amazing to be considered in the same class as Ilya.
Yeah, I feel the same way, because when my name was called, I'm like, well, to even be nominated, I was like, me? I was like, are you serious? Um, Huge honor, fun times. Like I said, I can't wait to get out to Vegas. Hopefully, it's a good turnout. Orlando was a pretty good turnout. There was a lot of new faces, and I think that's going to continue. Like you said, that award show is probably going to sell out super quick. There's always Ben always has people begging to get in last minute because they missed out. So it does sell out, and it's just getting bigger every year. Can't wait to see everybody.
And for anybody who hasn't attended that did buy tickets, it is a strict black collar event. So don't show up in shorts and a t-shirt.
No
Even if you bought a
sandals,
ticket,
no
you show up like
Crocs.
that. No Crocs allowed. Dress to impress. And if you've never been, you're in for one heck of an amazing evening.
What's up, good guy? Appreciate you for making it out. Um, did you want to end on anything in particular? I think I've kept you here over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long.
Um, well, let's end on, once again saying thank you very much for bringing me back on to have, a very awesome conversation. Really appreciate your time and all the work that you're doing as well to help better our industry and better our trade, Adrian. So thank you very much, brother.
No, I appreciate you for making the time, man. That's why I wanted to have you back on for this specific topic. I know we went on a rant on a few different things, but I think it all
Yep.
comes back to the same thing: paying it forward, helping others, and being a being a good mentor, because at one point you had to be mentored by somebody. Now you're doing it for somebody else. And we
100%.
need more people in the trades. There's no way around it. And the only way to get there is if we help them in some way.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself.
There you go. All right, man. I'm gonna cue the outro. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. And Matt, thanks again.
Cheers. Catch you on the next one, Adrian.
All right, let me find this outro.